Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video, and welcome to another episode of Challenger Spectate. Apologies that we're having two of them in a row, back to back, as the second videos of the day. Simple case of, obviously, Iron to Diamond. Iron to Master. I want sometimes a certain video to be the main video of the day, and the only way to do that is to make sure there's a different second video of the day. So that's why you're getting this, but it's also good content, I feel like, anyway. It's not like it's rushed content or like bad content. I do feel, as always, these are arguably more educational than most of the live commentaries. Now, today we're watching Miss Fortune because Miss Fortune recently received some nerfs. And I wanted to see if she's still kind of around, still good. My gut reaction is she's still going to be pretty good. And just worth noting about, like, I've already had some people, even my own Discord server, saying pro play is a bit boring right now because it's just the same champions. Worth noting, that's just what pro play is. Pros aren't going to just randomly pick something because they feel like it. It's their job. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. It's their careers on the line. They're going to play the strongest meta champions in the game. That's pro play. So, in AD carry at least, throughout history of the role, AD carry has always had a problem that only 3 AD carries at any given time are worth playing. And it's kind of like a trifecta of AD carries. That you have, at the moment, have Aphelios, Senna, and the Janna walks into the bush. So right now, don't think a kill's happening, but that's good to get her early flash. It's Senna, Aphelios, or Miss Fortune. Generally in pro play, but by what I've been watching and even in Challenger, is that you play Aphelios or Senna if they're open, because, you know, right now for pro play they are very valuable, and if one of them is banned, then you pull out Miss Fortune, or if you want to combine a Leona with something, then you play the Miss Fortune. A lot of people may also like kind of just make the point, Huz, you don't like Senna AD carry. Not for solo queue, but in pro play where they've got great communication and they're building a comp around it, I do grant it can work up pretty well in pro play. Just solo queue, I don't think it's worth playing. Unless maybe you're duo queue with your support and you have really good synergy, possibly. Anyway, not surprising, level 2 gank coming in. Leona flashes onto the Janna, free kill, easy peasy. Lee Sin doing a bit of a gank, nothing crazy is going to come out of that. He actually flashes to avoid the crazy Aphelios damage, and they will get first blood. Again, good timing. You got the Janna's flash at level 1, so make sure you punish that. So often you see people, you know, getting a good summon there in the early game, and then they play passive for 5 minutes. It's like, well, you should be punishing the fact that they don't have flash. Don't do a play every 5 minutes, because then every 5 minutes they get their flash back. Do something while they're vulnerable, and that's what we just saw there, which is really nice. And now one thing I do want to point out in this game is obviously the lane phase is going to be a standard lane phase pretty much. I don't expect craziness happens in lane phase. Does look though the Lee Sin is going to be camping bot lane, which again shouldn't be a massive surprise. Re-engage happening. The Aphelios is actually running cleanse this game because obviously the Leona CC is just insane. So he values getting rid of the CC more than healing. And also the Janna didn't even take heal this game. She took ignite, which may be questionable. But you can see the Lee Sin is already camping bot lane. Again, clearly bot lane, very important lane. Whoa, does get killed. Aphelios, baby. That champion, his range is just a bit dumb. I will also, I think some people might have liked it as well. A lot of us find Aphelios just a bit too stupid. He's just got too much stuff, and none of his combos are technically bad. It was pretty satisfying to watch the guy that designed Aphelios got completely owned by the champion, and the guy, it looked like, you know, he looked confused of what just happened. Anyway, it does seem that the enemy team maybe dove. They did get a kill, but now Janna's on the back foot, actually walking straight into the Miss Fortune. If Lee Sin's smart, you'll give that to the AD carry, and he does. So overall, that's actually not very good for the enemy bot lane, because now Miss Fortune returns to lane, even kills the Aphelios, but now is free farming with solo experience. So this is something that now the Miss Fortune, you know, cannot... the Aphelios cannot catch up to. Obviously, a cheese pick in the top lane for the enemy team. They do kill the Rumble, but I'd pretty much expect the Rumble will outscale the Lucian, maybe level 7-ish. Obviously, Rumble himself got a small nerf on recent patch, but nothing insanely crazy. Now, you are seeing as well that Aphelios is pinging his own summoners. That's something we can see in the replay file. He's like, I don't have my summoners, so that's probably, we need to be a bit careful right now. So you'd probably see red team want to play aggressive, and blue team, Aphelios, will want to play a bit passive to not risk anything. But yeah, Aphelios just has a bit too much. What I would say, I think people know that I'm a fan of Riot. I'm not anti-Riot. There are some players, weirdly, that they play League even more than I do, but they dislike Riot as a company. That's a bit confusing to me. But I like Riot as a company. But what I will say is, the past years, I honestly don't think their champion design has been very good. Actually, the enemy team goes aggressive, mainly, and again, I did say, oh, blue team's going to play passive. Not when blue team split completely and they can get caught out. So unfortunately, Leona didn't get her Q off there. If she got her Q on the Gragas, they might have been able to get the kill. But yeah, Misfortune being alone, Leona being too far away, Misfortune gets chunked in a 2v1, and then they're on the back foot for the rest of the fight. Again, Aphelios damage, you cannot sleep on his damage. It's borderline overpowered to the point that it probably is overpowered. But yeah, I haven't been a big fan of their champion design. Enemy team going for another dive, by the way. Like, the aggression, how did that Lee Sin Q hit? I have no idea. Again, maybe the replay bugs are happening. We just can't see the Lee Sin Q. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the champion design. To me, I don't know if people would agree. It kind of seems that Riot, instead of having game health in mind for new champions, they're more just focused about making a really cool champion that's really strong on release. So a lot of people buy it with Riot points, and then they kind of forget, like, oh snap, we have to actually have a balanced video game here. And then these champions are basically never balanced. That's just my personal, like, it just doesn't feel healthy. Yumi, Akali rework, Aphelios, borderline even Set, kinda. I think Set is better than a lot of them. Pyke on release was even questionable. So, like, yeah, I think Riot need to kind of tone it down a little bit with the craziness of, like, let's make the AD carry, this one AD carry, be able to do every AD carry job in one champion. How is that smart? It's not. Anyway, a lot of damage just came through. Another gank on the Rumble. He's now 0-3, but that's the thing. You know, when you're... I will say, just hint, an upcoming episode of Iron 2 Master in, like, a few days' time. One of my teammates is against a cheese pick top lane. And, like, I say in the commentary, just don't panic. Don't worry about it. You're outscaled. And just slight spoiler, they outscaled. So you just got to sometimes focus on the fact that you're playing a legitimate champion. And people say, oh, Lucian doesn't scale too bad. He doesn't. He scales okay. Obviously, for an AD carry, he isn't a late-game scaling champion. But you're a Rumble. Rumble is very effective at killing squishies. Lucian is going to be a squishy in late game. So you know you can kill him later. Just don't let him get too far ahead early. That's the basic concept. And that, you know, that's in essence what you have to do against cheese picks. Just don't let them get too far ahead. Let them get ahead a little bit. If that means you get a little bit less farm, that's okay. Completely. Be okay with that. Just don't let them get kills and get ahead on farm, because that's the double whammy. Anyway, Misfortune buying a BF sword. Oh, one thing I think I didn't continue the commentary, because obviously I make a point and sometimes something happens. What was interesting to me is obviously Misfortune, the build that got nerfed, I believe was the attack speed build. That's like the attack speed crit build. And I was like, okay, so the attack speed crit build got hurt by Misfortune. Maybe the lethality... Essence maybe a bit Essence Reaver lethality build will become popular. Meanwhile, gank coming on. Aphelios does a very quick cleanse. Misfortune goes for an ultimate, cancels it early. Leona just gets absolutely mullered. But it will be overall a good fight. 2 kills for 1. And yeah, that's fine. Again, Leona, I just probably didn't expect the damage that Aphelios can deal, which is fair enough. But yeah, they don't. But going back to the point again, this Misfortune does do the crit attack speed build. So even though the build got nerfed by Misfortune's own attack speed being nerfed, this Misfortune does that build, and you know, clearly it's still okay. So that's why I kind of wanted to watch this episode, because I already have had some people in the comment section going, Huz, I like Misfortune. Is that the build that I should still do, or should I move on to the lethality build? Nope, I still think the crit build is probably the best one. Worth noting, a sign of a good support, roaming to top lane at only 9 minutes when there is nothing to be gained in bot lane. That's a sign of a good support Leona. Misfortune, she doesn't need to be bot lane right now. The lane's even being pushed in, so Leona is actively looking for a play. Which is good to see. Like, that is not a bad thing at all. And, you know, Misfortune as a champion, she can hold her own in a 2v1 for a while. Both supports, worth noting, are only level 5. Misfortune's slight level advantage, and remember what we said earlier when Aphelios died, that was this XP that Misfortune got by herself that has given her that slight XP lead over the Aphelios. Obviously, he's caught up in level now, but after all this experience, she's getting even more solo experience. This Misfortune is going to be roughly a level up over the Aphelios. That's a really good place to be as an AD carry. Dragon is being done. by the jungler. I guess he was a Shulker player. Aphelios getting caught. Leona not level 6 yet, so doesn't have a full CC. Leona nearly dead. Really nice stopwatch. And Misfortune stopwatch again. The enemy team's in the area. Twisted Fate comes in. Does get killed. Leona dies again. Lucian now TPs. Again, he is doing a bit of damage. Lee Sin does die in the end. I think it was a bit too ballsy. Misfortune ultimate comes through. Gets 2 kills. Now the engage on the Lucian. Meanwhile, in top lane, Rumble is getting ganked by the Gragas. He does a good flash to avoid getting it into the tower, and Lucian will flash away and survive. So what I was about to say was, oh, during all this time, Rumble's going to be able to catch up in farm. Nope, because Gragas goes top lane to make sure he can't catch up in farm. So trust me, that's a really annoying thing for this Rumble. He's like, finally, the Lucian is out of my lane. I can take 2 or 3 waves by myself. Nope, because the Gragas comes top lane. That's how much this Gragas has been focusing top. That's insane. Meanwhile, Lucian's still in bot lane. Questionable, by the way. He does die and then uses a stopwatch. So yeah, maybe there's like some personal vendetta between this Gragas and this Rumble, which, by the way, is a thing. Janna weirdly goes way too aggressive, getting caught out. Nice play by Leona, waiting in that bush. Good patience, I'd say. Gragas then dies to the Lee Sin because he overstayed in top lane. But I will say, remember, the higher rating you go, the less players there are in the pool of players. So you play with the same people often. You know, even in my rating that I've been, I do recognize the same players. There are people that have played with each other for years and just don't like each other. Or, we've all had those trolls or inters or ragers. Imagine if you get those players in your team all the time because those are the only people you can play with. The other challenger players, and they're toxic or whatever. So there are players, it does exist, that there are personal feelings towards players. And let's say this Gragas, again, this may not be true, I'm just giving the point. This Gragas and Rumble have been challenger for years. They know each other, they've played on each other's team for years or against each other for years. They don't like each other. So whenever the Gragas is against that Rumble, he camps him. That is definitely a thing. It's a unique thing to high rating. Because again, it's the only place that you actually can get the same players often. Twisted Fate Ultimate coming. Well, it sounded like Twisted Fate Ultimate. No, it wasn't. I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe it was an Aphelios Assault? No, I have no idea. I heard a noise and it turned out to be nothing. Again, I am trying out a new pair of headphones, by the way. They're pretty good. I have spent the last 3 days actually stretching these over a box. So they're a little bit less tight. That's actually a good tip, by the way. If your headset's a little bit too tight, like the clamping pressure on your head is just a bit too much, put them over something that's slightly bigger than your head, and it just kind of lessens the clamping pressure of the plastic. Gragas waiting in a bush, big play happening. Aphelios nearly dead, not dead though, gonna do a bit of damage with the ultimate, not too much. He will eventually die. Leona dies again, unfortunately for her. Now the Twisted Fate on the back line, maybe should have flashed a bit earlier. Lee Sin gonna follow up. Misfortune wasted her ultimate. Gragas on the back foot, obviously full AP Gragas. He's gonna do some damage, but remember, he's gonna be incredibly squishy. Good chain by LeBlanc, and that will most likely get her the kill. A bit of patience. Where's the W? Lee Sin maybe looking for it, and Lee Sin should have taken the kill. Really nice that Lee Sin's like, I want to give it to my LeBlanc, but in essence, that might have killed her. If the Lee Sin finished his Q before the Gragas E'd the LeBlanc in tower, so the tower hit and everything finished her off, maybe the LeBlanc would have just been able to walk away. So yeah, it's always a good thing, and the Lee Sin's in the mentality, I'm a Lee Sin, my scaling falls off, I want to try and share the kills. That's a good thing, that's not a bad thing. Meanwhile, this Janna, over aggression, no idea what's going on, and she ends up dead. Lee Sin dies. Oh, it didn't actually look like the heal was in range. Misfortune now overstayed, gonna get caught by Twisted Fate Ultimate, and she will go down as well. So for a challenger game, worth noting, this is a bit of a fiesta. Again, that's a solo queue. I thoroughly enjoy doing these episodes, especially when weird stuff happens in Challenger, because it gives you guys the image that solo queue is not this perfect thing, even in high rating. It's still pretty bad. Like these players are fantastic players, but mistakes happen. Again, solo queue is not pro play. Even in Challenger, they are not 100% probably focused on the game. When you're in pro play or you're watching Worlds, LEC, LCS, etc., they're on a stage and their focus is only on the game. Their personal life, their whatever distractions are not in their head. They are purely playing. When you're at home playing solo queue, anything can happen. Your dog could be licking your foot and you're like, what the hell, get off me, dude. And that could kill you in solo queue. The doorbell could go. your real life, because you're at home, is more intermingled in your thought process. You've had a bad grade, you've got fired from your job, whatever it may be, that happens in solo queue. Like, that affects you in solo queue. It doesn't affect you in pro play because the focus is all there when you're on stage. So that's a clear difference between pro and solo queue. Like, that's just one of the differences. There's many differences, but that's a big one that I think a lot of people don't think about. Alley-oop! A nice flash by Misfortune that actually saved her life because she used the momentum of the Gragas barrel to help her escape rather than bring her toward. And obviously, the problem with Misfortune, naturally, it's actually a problem with all three of the popular AD carries, actually. Misfortune, Senna, and Aphelios. None of them have good mobility. All of them, if they have bad positioning, they can die a lot. The Aphelios, he's done a lot of damage this game. He's 5 and 6. You know, that's not an impressive KD. He's died quite a bit because he's got no mobility. You can get caught out by a Leona. You can get caught out by a Lee Sin pretty easily. And that is the same for all three of them. They don't have mobility at all. You know, if I had to predict where AD carry is going in the next few months, I would predict we're actually probably going to eventually go into a mobility meta. I reckon Riot's, you know, generally Riot likes to do opposites. That they have a certain group of champions that are strong, and then they start buffing like kind of the opposite to those champions. Well, the opposite to the current popular AD carries are hyper-aggressive mobility AD carries. So like Lucian, who's also, you know, Lucian's okay at the moment, but they might buff him more. Misfortune going to go have a fight with Felios, does end up dying. Again, there's the damage of the champion. It's insane. But yeah, like Ezreal, Tristana, Lucian, all those. Oh, Misfortune was cocky. Forgot about the cleanse by the Aphelios. He does survive because he gets rid of the ignite. Over-aggressive play by Twisted Fate. Maybe this is on. Lee Sin weirdly doesn't going to go for it. Rumble, obviously very weak right now, gets killed for free. So this game, the tables have turned. Blue team is now ahead by 2,000 gold. Even though they're a little bit down, they are behind in gold. Leona engaging. Again, only level 7 is the Leona. Gragas ultimate coming through. Lee Sin now going to die. Enemy team is taking control of this game. What red team most likely need to do to recover, they need to just take a breath, stop going alone. That's, to me, the biggest key that's now been going against them. They keep going in 1 or 2 people, and the enemy team is just outnumbering them. So stop going alone, reset the mental, group up a little bit, you know, make sure you're minimum going in with 3 people, not just 1 or 2, and just kind of reset everything. Stop the chain of, like, just dying 1 or 2 people constantly. That's how a game gets out of control. You know, when this does happen, even if in your games in solo queue, you can even just tell your team, guys, slow it down. We don't need to panic. Just keep it calm. And then, yeah, that will help a lot. Misfortune's build, though, worth noting, is Essence Reaver first item. Naturally a good item for the champion. And then I would predict an Infinity Edge second. So as we mentioned, still doing the crit build. And then we'll eventually build a bit of attack speed later on, most likely. RFC is quite a common thing on her, just to get that big extra auto attack in. It's a good item in general for AD carries. And there is the completed Infinity Edge. So right now, power spike by Misfortune. So I would predict the Misfortune is looking for a fight. Meanwhile, in bot lane, the Lucian by himself gets killed by the 2v1. Lee Sin ganks, no health taken from him. Rumble nearly died. Obviously, rushing that Zhonya's just to give a bit of survivability. And yeah, that's a good kill. That was a first death by Lucian, and that obviously can always affect your mental. Hey, I'm 4-0, I'm having a great game, and I died for the first time. God damn it. Never underestimate that. Janna nearly dies. LeBlanc, though, not doing enough damage to do a full wombo hit, or one-shot hit, and a little bit of damage. A bit of fight might happen. Gragas actually goes for it, completely out of position Misfortune. She does end up dying. They do a bit of damage return, and there you go. Perfect example of the weakness of the current meta AD carries. If they out of position, lovely E by Gragas. If they get out of position, they can get CC'd easily, and there's not much a Misfortune can do apart from simply position better. So yeah, blue team is taking control. They are now roughly they're over 3,000 gold ahead now. It was only 2,000 gold a couple minutes ago, and that's a really good thing to see. Baron pings are happening of, like, the Baron's up in 30 seconds, and there have been some pings of, like, yo, we can maybe look to do this, which is true. When you have 2 AD carries, one of the benefits of that, you kill Baron very fast. They are gonna not go for that, though. They're going to continue their mid lane momentum. Lee Sin is looking for something, and I will say the Lee Sin, for being so strong, he's not getting involved like a crazy amount, but now this is good for the enemy team. This is actually a big deal. They get completely caught. Overstay, 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 and potentially Baron is on the table now for red team. Possibly. I'd say it is a bit risky with the enemy jungler alive, but it is maybe worth doing, and it is being started by the Lee Sin. Unfortunately, Rumble went bot lane and LeBlanc's gone top. Rumble really should be with his team. There, to me, isn't a big reason why he wouldn't be, apart from just bad decision-making. And now this is risky. Gragas is here. Gragas has ultimate up. That's a bad Gragas ult. So he's done that for vision rather than good decision-making, but it might get the enemy team off the Baron. It does. So really what the Gragas should look to do, maybe he wasn't looking to try and get a steal. Oh, wow, they are. They're moving in for a steal. The Twisted Fate going by himself. Gragas eating over the wall. This is actually probably bad for the Gragas. It's going to take a bit of damage. Lee Sin doing a bit of damage. LeBlanc gets the Janna, by the way. Gragas early stopwatches. Early Zhonya, sorry. Lucian in the area. Misfortune now coming in. Lee Sin finishing off. And then Lucian gets destroyed by the Misfortune, which is kind of natural. Because, again, while AD carry scales really good, one AD carry doesn't scale that good. And obviously, she's got crit. If she actually gets a few crits, she's going to just murder things. Now Aphelios, also the crit and Misfortune takes over, and now the Baron can be done. What I was mentioning earlier, though, by the way, early smite by Lee Sin just to give his own health back. He completely can do that because there's no risk that this gets stolen. What I was mentioning earlier about the Gragas ultimate, in theory, the best time to use Gragas ult around a Baron potential when you're looking to steal it, obviously, is to ult the enemy jungler away out of range to smite it, and then you can move in to smite it. But I guess he didn't have vision, and obviously Gragas ultimate gives vision, so that was probably useful. So now red team takes momentum back, and now there's another dragon potentially on the table. Remember, it is Mountain Dragon this game, so they can get some resistances, which is a good thing. Not the craziest thing, because the only big champion that's going to use those resistances is Leona, but she is going to be happy about that. And, you know, it's naturally good to take all the dragons. Always take the dragons when you can. So Misfortune's probably going to clear this, then look to group. Janna, again, both supports, worth saying, have died way too much. Obviously, you'd rather your support to die than your AD carry or whoever, but I'd say both of them have been a bit cocky with their positioning and have definitely died too much. Especially for Janna. Janna is notorious for not dying. And, you know, you kind of had a bad game on Janna if you died more than 3 or 4 times, I'd say. And, you know, Janna's the type of champion that even if you're not having a great game, Medjai's is actually an effective purchase on her because, yeah, you should never die. It's the same with Soraka, really. You should never die on these champions. The only way you die on them if you've really mispositioned. Something like a Leona you can understand a bit more, because to be effective on Leona, you do need to be all in. Where Janna, you're kind of mid to back line, and you're just shielding, looking for a good ultimate to keep off your carries. Gragas gets caught, does get his ultimate off, gets his Zhonya's off, but that's not going to be enough. He does die to the Leona W, and now the enemy team is definitely on the back foot. You can see, though, the Aphelios damage is insane, by the way. He does get a kill, does go down, though, in the end. Misfortune ultimate coming through, doing a bunch of clearing damage. Twisted Fate, don't know if he's tilted or whatever, but he is just split pushing. And what you're kind of seeing now, even though blue team got momentum, you are now, I would say, seeing the difference of team comp. The enemy team doesn't have a balanced team comp. We all know why. Top lane. And that they are now getting punished for that. You know, yes, they punished the Rumble a lot in the early game, but now red team has a really effective Rumble ultimate that they can rip through in team fights. Nice QSS there. He is ulting away. Don't think it... Oh, it is enough. She didn't get a crit that she needed. He will escape with a sliver of life left. But yeah, like, lane phase, that's what cheese picks are for. Win the lane phase, that's what they do. And if you don't win the game by 20 minutes, you might struggle. And I think we are now seeing them struggle. Especially with something like a Lucian cheese pick, because he doesn't scale incredibly well. Like, the one thing I'd say about Twitch jungle, I hate the pick. Obviously, you're taking the position of an actual kind of bruiser jungler or assassin jungler. The one thing with Twitch, though, if you have really good positioning, the champion in itself, it does scale really well. Like, that's the thing. Twitch jungle, it falls off in terms of being a jungler, technically, but it doesn't fall off in terms of his damage as an AD carry. Lucian does fall off. So, and then, you know, people say, but Lee Sin's good. Lee Sin gives your team utility. Lucian doesn't give your team utility. That's the difference about champions that may fall off damage-wise. A lot of them still give utility later. Like Lee Sin, his kick is sometimes incredibly valuable of kicking the right person in to get them vulnerable. Anyway, Misfortune split pushing randomly. Aphelios gets 1v4'd, 1v3'd. Enemy team on the back foot, not really sure what's going on. Obviously, Misfortune looking to catch here. She actually might be able to do something. She might still walk down this way. Enemy team is out of position. They're going to continue walking. And now this is even, by the way, without Misfortune. They are just getting ruffle stomped. And she waits in the... What was that? Oh! She was being a bit cocky. She does get the kill in the end. That looked a bit funny. And there we go. But yeah, to me, now the blue team has fallen off. Red team's taken over. With even out the, the 12 kill Misfortune, they completely owned them there. Again, Aphelios, even though he's incredibly strong, earlier we said he's got no mobility. So if a Lee Sin gets on top of him, a Rumble Ultimate gets on top of him, a LeBlanc jumps on him, and a Leona gets on him, yeah, he ain't going anywhere. He dead. So... that's the point. And obviously, full AP Gragas, it's an okay pick, I'd say. But the weakness of it is if people, again, can get on you for a Gragas. This is why I personally don't like AP Gragas that much in the jungle. I know it's the thing that a lot of people do. But, like, to me, Gragas was never about his damage. Unless you, like, back in the day, he was mid lane. But in jungle, I like tank Gragas more. Because to me, Gragas is that utility pick of just getting his good barrel. Getting his E knock-up. Getting his slow with his Q. When you're playing AP, sure, you can still do that, but you die so fast. Aphelios now out of position. The Rumble Ultimate misses. Cleanse coming through. Didn't he... like, Aphelios is hardly taking any damage, by the way. That's how much his shielding could do, which was kind of crazy to watch. By the way, Misfortune build has completed now her RFC and also her Scimitar. So she does have a bit of lifesteal now. Now, again, Aphelios versus Misfortune. There's the crits. So before, I don't think she got many crits activated, even though... does she have 100% crit? I don't know. She has currently got... oh, there you go. She's only got 75% crit. So, again, that's the thing. In the fight before, where it didn't look like Aphelios was dying, maybe she didn't really get crits. Then, she got crits. That's the thing with building crit. It's a bit of RNG. It's kind of like the last RNG... well, pure RNG, like, mechanic left in the game, apart from Zoe, I guess, nowadays. There used to be dodge in the game. There's no longer dodge. But that's going to be it. Misfortune, very good. Damage is very high. I can tell you as well that this Misfortune did the most damage in the game by quite a bit. Good ultimate by Gragas. He did, yeah, so the Misfortune did the most damage in the game by quite a bit. And yeah, it does show that the crit build is still effective. Is still the one that you probably want to do over lethality. Lethality is effective, I'd say, more effective in low rating when people are bunching and just staying in your ultimate. In high rating, you could see here, yes, there were some really good Misfortune ultimates, but I'd say most of their kills were auto-attacking with crit. But yeah, and also you could clearly see that the more balanced team comp beat the imbalanced team comp. So... cool. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, throw a like on it, throw a comment. This was a kind of requested pick, by the way. People did on today on stream, especially said, can I do an AD carry episode? So there we go. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, throw a like on it, throw a subscribe. Make sure you check out my sponsors down below. If you click the show more in the description tab, it does help out if you support them. And I'll see you guys next time. See you.